Oh my goodness. Episode 20. 20. We are at episode 20. I cannot believe that this happened so quickly, but here we are. I didn't even record every week, but I kept it going and I'm excited and I'm glad. So thank you for being here with me on episode 20 entitled On Your Left. Now, if you know, then you know what I've been going through. And it is quite interesting that, timing is everything. God's timing is everything. And so I am so happy in this time because it's been difficult, but for all the right reasons. And I can smile because I know that everything that has happened had to happen in order for us to get to where we are now. So let me give you a little bit of my thinking. So I will say that there are a couple of things that I have watched. You know me, I like to watch the things. I also like to read the things, and this episode has a little bit of both. So I'll talk a little bit about a couple of things that I've watched that connect to how I'm feeling right now, and then a couple of things that I'm reading that connect to what has supported me and is continuing to support me through this season. So for today's quick chat, I just want to talk about keeping the faith and having courage. There is always a room to break down, let go, quit, run away, but if you hang in there, you will have joy in the morning. That is just how life works, but you got to hang in there. And it's hard to do sometimes. So, this episode is titled On Your Left because it's a reminder that help is always coming. And if you're a Marvel fan, and I'm not one of those like super Marvel fans, the ones that are like, I've read every comic book and I know the name of all the characters, and you can't talk to me at all about my favorite Marvel this or that because I'm going to be able to, rattle off all these facts and stuff. I'm not that person, but I do like Marvel movies. I like the Marvel universe. I think that sometimes the overthinker in me connects to different themes in the movie all the time. So I like Marvel. And so one of my favorite Marvel movies is Avengers Endgame. And there is a scene in it. If you've seen it, then you probably know what I'm talking about. Um, it's a scene where Captain America has given it everything he's got. And Thanos has been snapping people away, and it's been rough, right? And he's on the battlefield, Captain America. He's on the battlefield by himself, and Thanos and all the homies, all the villains are about to rush at him. It just seems like inevitably he's about to get decimated. Like there is no way he's going to overcome the battles that are in front of him. It is inevitable. So he's laying there, right? Literally in the dirt. And he, looks at his shield. The shield is like messed up, right? Even the thing that's supposed to be his greatest um powerful support is messed up. And like he's got like scratches all over himself, and he looks around and there's no one but him. And the most powerful thing about it to me is that he is exhausted and he gets up anyway. And I'm like taken aback by that in some moments like this one, because it's like he could have just laid there and just taken it. But instead he's like, no, I'm gonna get up. I'm getting up. I'm gonna fight. Here we go. Let's go. And all the while he knows he could very well just get ran over, pummeled, and it could be the end of him. And he's willing to have enough courage to say, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try. Because for some reason, through this overwhelming fear and through everything that's going on, I feel like I should be doing this. And so I'm going to do it. And finally, he hears on your left. And it's like, and I should not be emotional with a Marvel movie, but I kid you not, I've seen so many clips of people in the theater watching this scene. People are like, oh, ah, and they're super excited. It's the one where the portals start to open after he hears on your left. People are coming in, all the different superheroes. You see Black Panther walk through, and the whole army behind him, and then all the other Marvel characters are coming out. They've got all their swords and their weaponry, and they're ready. They're like the port left and right. They've all got his back against Thanos, this seemingly insurmountable beast of a villain. And they're like, we don't care. He's not alone. And here we go. It's mind-blowing to me. And it was probably one of the favorite scenes that I've ever seen in a movie. I loved it. It's just a realization that help is coming. It's on the way. Reinforcements are arriving. They will be there. Sometimes it seems like it's never going to happen, but they coming. And everything's gonna shift and be okay. You're going to be okay. Sometimes when you feel the shift, it is another person, or several people that come in. Sometimes it's the community and they rally behind you to support you, and sometimes it's just a person reminding you that you're not alone and that they're there to help you in any way you can. Um, those are all like your external sources of help. But no matter what, the very first thing Captain America had to do was internally have the courage to just stand up and fight it out. He could have just given up, but he had to get up, right? So that's the first thing that I watched that made me think about what I'm going through. It's like, girl, you got to get up every day. You got to get up and you got to keep fighting. And so then there's this internal battle, right? When you're going through stuff. And that internal, I'm getting emotional. Oh my God, why? That internal battle, it's like, that it's hard and you just want to keep fighting, and you don't realize that the thing you need the most is already in there and you just got to use it. So, spoiler alert, as I get myself together. Spoiler alert. If you have not watched the final season of Stranger Things, Volume 1, you need to go ahead and turn off this episode or fast forward for like 3 minutes. just fast forward. That way it doesn't spoil anything for you. So, in Stranger Things, the final season, season 5, volume 1, right? At the very end, it seems like, man, several of Will's friends are going to die because there are several demigorgons that are about to devour them, right? In different places in the Upside Down. So, the crazy and most spectacular thing happens is that Will has to think through the fact that all along he's had the power to fight this evil force that is coming at him, and it's been bothering him, right, for seasons. It's causing like incredible fear, like crippling him to the point to where he can't even function properly, and he's questioning his worth and why he's even, being messed with. Like, why? Right? And it comes to a point to where he notices and he realizes that the people he loves and what he cares about most is being they're being attacked. And so he's like, wait a minute, there's something within me. I have what it takes to combat this. And so he thinks back to even as a child, he was given the tools to get through difficult times, the tools to understand that he has the strength and courage to do this. And he harnesses that power to, flip the what was meant to hurt him into something that becomes his ultimate strength. And Will Byers ends up like levitating. He's got these powers now, like 11, and he's able to take, kind of take Vecna's powers, and he takes those demogorgons and he's able to like snap them like into pieces because he's using his power and he's that powerful to combat those evil forces. It was one of those moments where you watch it and people are like, yeah, yes, yes. And I think people have such strong reactions to stuff like that because they connect to the fact that these are tough times and we're going through it. And it feels good to see that you can overcome. That overcomer story is hitting hard right now. They're making millions because people connect to that. A lot of us are struggling with things, but it's nice and it's a great reminder to realize that doesn't last forever. There will be sunshine. There will be brightness on the other side. And you have to fight through it, though. And Will was fighting for like some years. So for him to finally harness that power, it's like you're proud of him. You're excited for him. You're cheering for him because he's the underdog. I mean, I'm that person that I cheer for the underdog. And so that was pretty cool. The Stranger Things, season 5, volume 1. So that episode just helps me to realize that, help is on the way. It's coming. And sometimes that help, that internal help that is on the way is just, it's like a clarity within you that comes finally after a long time. Because when you're stuck in something, one of the things you feel is confusion and you ask why a whole lot. Like, why? Why is this happening? Why me? Are you sure I'm supposed to be here? Really? And then, your strength shows up and it's amazing because it's like, where is this even coming from? I thought I was empty, but you're not. There's more, and you harness it. And then sometimes it's like insight or direction, and it just gives you peace to know that you got it and things are going to turn around and you're going to get through it. So just thinking about those two things that I've recently watched again, that Avengers Endgame scene where like you're on your last leg and it's like, oh man, this is tough, but I gotta keep going. And on your left, it's like, yes, yes. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. We're about to be unstoppable. That's how I feel. Super excited. So, there are things that, not just what I'm watching, but things that I'm reading that are helping me through, a lot of what's going on. And I think these books are what I was, led to read. I didn't hear from someone to read Strong Ground by Brene Brown, but it popped up in my Audible. And I thought, it's Brene Brown, so why wouldn't I read it? I like her stuff. So I got that one. And I started reading it and got some good stuff. And another book that I started reading is Lead Like a Pirate. When I first saw it, I thought, what? Lead Like a Pirate? That's an interesting name for a book. But it's good. It's by Burgess and Beers. It's good. I've started reading it, and I've got an anchor chart in my office and everything. I'm sticky noting all over that thing. That's my book study. So first, let's talk about Strong Ground by Brene Brown. So in that book, there is, this theme of courage and faith in the middle of the hard things, right? And the part that I'm on, I haven't read the whole thing, but the part that I'm on, and I took some notes in my phone because I don't know about you, but when I read, I sometimes have to hit stop because I want to take notes and write things down. And I can't do that if I'm like driving and listening to it in audio format. And so I usually am listening to the books while I'm in the house folding clothes, washing dishes, making dinner. I'll hear it and I'll pause it and I'll have to write stuff because I want to remember that. If your brain is anything like mine, you have to write things down. So Strong Ground by Brene Brown said, one thing she said was you have to pressure test your beliefs. So if this is something that you really believe, you have to go through things to test if that really is what you believe. You can't be walking around here talking about you have faith and expecting not to go through anything because how are you going to test that belief? You got to go through the things. And then another thing she said is this was good. Don't decelerate your thinking, accelerate your rethinking. So maybe many of the things you've always thought to be, the right thing might not be. Shocker. Something that we thought was for sure, or something that we thought was exactly where the way we had to go might not actually be the right way. And that's hard sometimes to rework your thinking. But your mind and your thought process and your heart has to be moldable enough and flexible enough to be able to make the change and shift your thought process. She also said, and this was like the major part of what I'm reading right now, we need braver leaders and more courageous cultures. We need the courage that can help to do those things. And so that word courage just keeps coming up because really you have to have that to be able to create change, to be able to get through difficult times. If you don't have that, then you're not going to be able to do that. And so they did a global study with CEOs, and they did lots of other studies, and they came up with these 10, findings. And so the first one said, stop avoiding tough conversations and giving honest, productive feedback. So you have to not be afraid to have the hard conversations, and you have to be honest about what it is you're seeing and what needs to change. A lot of the CEOs were coming up with these same thoughts. And so it wasn't even their industry or anything. No matter what, they were coming up with very similar things that they felt needed to change in leadership. And so another one, number 2, said, proactively address the fears and feelings head on. These are, difficult things that keep you from moving forward. Proactively address the fears and feelings head on. What's funny is that any and everything I could think of that I was scared of, I've gone through in the last 4 months. Any and everything. I kid you not. And I was like, Lord, did I tell you I wanted to go through that? Because I don't remember telling you that. I didn't even speak it out loud because I didn't want to do that, because I was scared to do that. So why are you making me do that? Right? But you have to be able to address your fears and your feelings head on. And then number 3 says diminishing trust caused by a lack of connection and empathy. That is another thing that, can cause your leadership to not be brave and courageous. So we have to fix these things. You diminishing trust can be a big issue. And so keeping and building trust is really important. You need to have connections. You need to have empathy. First and foremost, you work with people. I've said it on more than one occasion. You work with humans, right? They're humans first. We are humans first. So decisions that are made and everything that we're doing to support students has to keep in mind that these are humans we're working with. Okay. And then 4, another issue that they all feel they're facing is not enough people are taking smart risks. No bold ideas. People are scared to be put down for trying something and failing. That is difficult because nobody wants to fail and nobody wants to be looked at as a failure. So they don't want to go against the grain and try something different because it's too risky. It could fail. But nobody knows if something works unless they try it. Can you imagine if the Wright brothers were like, I don't know about this airplane thing. It might not work. Like, what? Where would we be now if somebody didn't have the courage to be like, let's try it? So that's what we got to do. And then number 5, and there's 10 of them, by the way. So number 5, getting stuck in and defined by setbacks and failures. Help people take ownership of their own bounds after a setback or disappointment. They're going to happen. Setbacks are going to happen. Disappointments are going to happen. Failures are going to happen. But you can't sit in them. You have to use them and move through them so that you can overcome them. Number 6, change the shame and blame and not enough accountability. So whatever happens, right? Instead of shaming and blaming, just taking ownership for the fact that, oh, yeah, that wasn't right or that wasn't cool. We have to do something different. Take accountability for what happened and do something different. That's it. Number 7, people opting out of conversations in diversity, equity, inclusion. Ooh, I'd never thought growing up that those terms would be taboo ever. If you've listened to any of my, earlier episodes, and I sprinkle it in pretty often, the fact that I love diversity, I love different cultures. I think it's a beautiful thing with different people come together with different thoughts and ideas and beliefs, and they're able to create something beautiful together. That is amazing to me. That's, to me, one of the greatest treasures of humanity. The fact that we can all be so different yet find connection and common ground to work towards a goal. That's what makes us amazing as human beings, because we can all work together to do this thing called life. Right? That's what makes us great. And then number 8, stay with problem identification and solution. Right? So you have to be able to identify what the issues are and come up with ways to fix the issues. If not, if you just sweep them under the rug and say, oh, everything's fine, then you don't fix anything and you don't get better at anything. Number 9, organizational values need to be rooted in actual observable behaviors that can be tracked. So whatever the organization is focused on, it needs to be something that you can actually observe and fix and track, right? If you're setting a goal and you want to track your progress toward that goal, it needs to be something that you can track, right? Thinking about MTSS, that's been, heavy in the lives of educators. You have to be able to set goals that you can track. You have to monitor the progress toward the goal. If you don't do that, then you're not moving anything forward. How are you going to know that what you're doing is working? You have to try it. You have to do something. And then number 10, counter the perfectionism and fear that keeps people from learning and growing. Perfectionism, that was one that I wasn't expecting to hear. But a lot of people, I think, do have that. They're concerned that whatever they would try won't be perfect. So they don't want to do it. And, we often forget that it's not going to be perfect, most likely, the first time you do it. So don't worry about that. You just try it. I have done numerous things since August that I hadn't tried before because I've never been in this position before. But I had to try it, and most of it, worked pretty well. But I had to try. If you don't take the risk and you don't try, then you don't know what works and what doesn't. You have to try. And so one way to, counter all of these issues is Brene says, develop daring mindsets in addition to building the skills. So yes, you do have to have the skill to be an educator. That's why you have to go to school. Don't make me get on the soapbox about that, but it is a real profession. And you do have to go to school, and you do have to get certifications because you have to learn the right strategies that support growth in students, right? So you have to go do these things. So you need the skills. But in addition to needing the skills, the harder thing is to develop that daring mindset. Not easy. It's taken me years. I'm in year 17, and it took me at least to year 10 to really get into that daring mindset that Brene is talking about. So I will continue to read Strong Ground by Brene Brown. It's good. I like it, but it is very much that courage and faith when things are hard. And so the other book that I'm reading is Lead Like a Pirate. Lead Like a Pirate, caught my attention. I think it was a gift. And at first I was side-eyeing it like, what is this? But once I started reading it, it was like, oh, what is this? And it's more rooted in hope and joy. And you use those as leadership tools. I said, look at you listening to my podcast. So I started reading it, and it's good. It just reminds you that you have to have that bold, joyful, imaginative kind of leadership. And that is what, helps you in certain circumstances, most circumstances. And we create light. That's what leaders do. We have to be that light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes we need someone to create it for us, but we create it, and we create possibility. So we have to make sure that whenever we are preparing to lead, that we do our study and do our best to be ready to do that. So the PIRATE is an acronym, and the P stands for passion. So you have to have a passion for what you're doing. If you aren't passionate about education, then you need to leave because it's hard. It's not an easy path. So it has to be what you feel is a passion of yours. It has to be purpose driven. Has to be. And so the passion, your professional and your personal passion. I'm reading this off of partially how Amazon describes it, and then partially what I've noticed as I've read it. And so you have to have a willingness also to do the I, which is immersion. You have to be willing to immerse yourself in your work. And that doesn't mean ignore everything else. That means you have to dig in my opinion. If you are that type of person that kind of likes to stay surface level with things, then you're really not going to see the growth in your, kids, in your staff, in yourself, unless you dig in. You got to get to the root of things. So immerse yourself. The R stands for rapport. And so you have to have a good rapport with your staff, with your students, with the community. If not, it makes things a lot more difficult. Now, no matter what, there will be at least one that will ruffle every feather. But that one does not dictate the whole, and we can't let the one do that. We have to focus on the good of the group and what is best for everyone, and trudge through and be courageous and keep fighting, because it's not everyone. It's just the one. And then you have to have the courage to ask questions and analyze what is and is not working. This is probably the biggest thing that I have to work on as a leader. If I'm being honest, I think the ask and analyze portion, not so much to analyze, because I analyze all the time, probably too much, but I do more of an quiet analysis. I am more of an introspective type of person. I have to think on it and really let it marinate. And then when I have my ideas together, I, to talk about them. Sometimes I'm going to talk through it, but what comes out at first it might even be kind of like jumbled. It's going to make sense, but it's not going to necessarily be the most clear at first, because I actually think better as I discuss it. And the more I discuss it, it becomes more clear. Hope that makes sense. I'm sure there are others that feel the same way. And then the T in Pirate is transformation. You have to have the determination to seek positive transformation. Determination. Know what you're working toward. If you want change to occur, you gotta seek it. And then the E is enthusiasm. Enthusiasm. That, you want people to get excited about education. That's you don't want anybody to, feel like they're coming to a place where they're not excited. I like walking into the school building and seeing smiles and saying hello and giving fist bumps, and those are the things that we as humans enjoy. If anyone says they don't, that's fine. They don't have to. But interaction is a human quality, and we do that, and we need that. And if people are like, well, that's not me, I don't like to interact, I don't know if this is the profession for you. Because there is a lot of interaction in education. Okay? Does that mean you have to have the most outgoing personality in the world? No. But it does mean you have to be at least comfortable talking to parents and students and your colleagues and administrators. That's a lot of interaction. And it's not always face-to-face and verbal. It might even be written, but you have to get used to that. So enthusiasm and interaction are also big parts of it. So lead like a pirate with passion, immersion, rapport, asking it and analyzing, transformation, and enthusiasm. And so you might be thinking, you always talking about you reading something. Well, other people have done this. So I always would like to know how'd that work out for you? Did it work? Let me try it. Maybe it'll work for me. That's called analysis. And so that is what I do. And so the tip of the week is coming up. So let's get to it. This week's tip of the week. And this week's tip of the week is the exhale. The exhale is always important with everything that we're going through. The inhale is like the difficulty, the hard part. We all inhale. We all have to just take in the difficulty. It's going to happen. And it's kind of like holding your breath. Every challenge that we have, all those negative thoughts, everything that's coming, seemingly coming against you, it's like an inhale. But then there's an exhale. Growing up, I remember the movie with Whitney Houston in it, Waiting to Exhale, and I didn't know what they were talking about. I just knew that I liked the movie because some of the characters were funny and some of the stuff was like, oh, intense. So I like the exhale, but an exhale is a release, and it follows the difficulty. You let it out and you let it go. When does the release happen? It happens when you gain the clarity that you need. It happens when you get the information that you need. It happens when you find the strength and support, and when you feel peace. Those are all part of the exhale. Sometimes it's a person. Sometimes it's a direction or an ease, or like letting you know, or you finding out what the next step of something is. But it's just a reminder that you have everything you need to move forward. It's like so my exhale right now is just believing in and using what I already had inside all along. It's been there. I just have to use it. I have to, harness my inner will buyers. This is what I'm doing. And that's how I feel. And then just trusting that everything is going to be better and things will get easier and help is here. And so this week, I want you to notice your inhale, and I want you to honor your exhale and trust that both of them are a part of, getting better. And so as my son writes a note to me because he has something he really wants to say, I'm going to read it. My TV is broken. Please come in my room when you're done. Okay. On that note, I am going to go help my son fix his TV. Remember, rediscover your joy. Embrace your true self. Let them see you. Thanks for listening to Let Them See You. Until next time, climb with courage, stand in the light, let them see you.